Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our presentation tonight. My name is Juan Carlos Lopez. I'm one of the admissions advisors for UC Merced. Tonight's webinar is going to cover housing, transportation, and parking services and dining. And one of the things we want to make sure that you get the best possible information from our campus. First of all, welcome all of you, and congratulations to those who've been offered admissions to UC Merced. We hope that you become a Bobcat. That is the whole goal for that. And I hope if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask your questions. We want to make sure that we answer them accordingly, but also keep in mind, because there's a lot of you, we might not get to every question tonight. Okay. We want to make sure that you, as an individual that is thinking about UC Merced, look at all the possibilities, all the resources that we have here on our campus, and also keep an eye on deadlines, because that's going to become an important factor in the next steps of you being admitted to the university here. So with that said, let's start off and start off with welcoming our panel in regards to the presenters for tonight's webinar. Again, once again, if you have any questions, do use the chat to answer to ask those questions. My colleague and I will be in the background answering some of those questions that pertain to your question. So let's get started tonight, and let's move forward and welcome our first presenter, Scott.
Yes, hello, future Bobcats. My name is Scott Lepla. I'm the Director of Housing Services, and I'm going to be walking you through the two critical elements of our housing program tonight, our residence education team and our housing services team. So those are kind of two facets about that, and we'll talk about those as we move through the presentation. We're going to start with the kind of community that we're inviting you to join. So college is one of those great opportunities in life where you get to leave one supportive community and come into another supportive community. And it's our residence education team that helps build that new community for you here at UC Merced. Our campus housing is among the newest, if not top to bottom, it's the newest in the UC system. We have state-of-the-art facilities, modern HVAC, modern technology, modern connectivity and networking. I mean, everything in this building, there's no 100-year-old residence halls here. Everything is new, like the campus. We're a 21st century housing program, and we offer a lot of support for our residential students that goes beyond the physical design of our buildings. So in addition to the new and modern facilities we offer in housing, our residence education staff, which consists of RAs, who are students, leaders who live in the floor with you, as well as the residence education coordinators, who are professional staff who live on campus and help oversee the RAs and the community programs. Those two together, they work as a team to help welcome you to campus, help you meet your neighbors, provide opportunities to learn and develop. We also have in addition to that, our community, because it's focused on residential students and UC Merced students, we have services that we offer that help with mail processing, that help you if you get locked out of your residence hall. We offer a lot of support and kind of wraparound services that you just don't get at a lot of other housing programs in the community, and certainly not in the community, and definitely at other UCs. One of the things that we want to take today to highlight is our living and learning communities. All of you will have a chance to live on campus. As a first-year student, we'll talk about this later, but you're guaranteed housing. But we want to take this opportunity to highlight the living and learning communities as a way to enhance your housing experience. So for those of you that maybe have an interest or a focus, or you're trying to figure out, maybe you're the only person from your high school that's coming to UC Merced, the LLCs provide a way to help bring students together around a common in-class and out-of-class experience. These programs help create group activities. They explore majors or areas of interest. They connect students with faculty and campus resources. And they've been demonstrated to show improvements in student retention, to help students build the kinds of connections and support groups that are necessary to make it from first year to second year and beyond to graduation. And they do this by helping to bridge that in-class and out-of-class experience and modeling that in ways that can apply to not only the LLC, but other classes. So why do students choose to join our LLCs, our living learning communities? Typically, the LLCs are a collection of students who share interests or academic goals. This might include participating in the honors program. It might include participation or an interest in foreign affairs or political action. There are different areas of focus, which we'll show you, but these communities help connect students immediately and quickly to faculty, graduate mentors, other resources on staff to help students transition to UC Merced as an academic and scholar. Well, so, okay, you've sold me, Scott, on the LLC. What is my expectations in an LLC? So the LLC for students, they do require that you take a 1 hour class outside of the LLC so that's your in-class experience. And then related to that, there'll be opportunities to participate in study sessions, learning groups, and different problem-solving activities. There'll be social events, particularly those that help connect you with faculty in your major or interest area, which can be absolutely critical if you're trying to accelerate internship opportunities, research opportunities. I mean, I really focus here. The research opportunities at UC Merced are tremendous for undergraduates, now much more of an opportunity than you're going to get at other campuses. And so LLCs are a gateway to early connections to faculty to connect for those things. We highlight some of those here, letters of recommendation, research, et cetera. But it's really about we create this opportunity for undergraduate students to connect with their academic resources. This slide we show and highlight some of our living learning community opportunities. You'll find these on our website. You'll also find them in the housing application. When you are applying, you'll have an option to first express interest in LLC, and then it'll give you a list of LLCs that you can rank your #1 program and your #2 program. Every student, since I've been participating and working with our undergraduate ed program, has gotten into one of those two top choices. They haven't been so full that students couldn't get in one. And the academic wing of the program works collaboratively to try to make sure that students get their first choice, and most students do. But those opportunities are often given out in order of application. So it's going to be by date you sign your contract and complete whatever because in the housing application there may be forms you have to complete for the LLC. So I recommend to all students to start your application early and make sure it's turned in early. That not only guarantees housing, which is important, but it also gives you increased priority for the LLC program of your choice. If you do have other questions about LLCs, I encourage you to reach out and look at our website. We have more information there, including contact information for each program. That's at housing.ucmerced.edu/LLC. And then if you have general questions about LLC, you can reach out to our residence education team. And it's really just general questions about not just LLCs, but about anything we talked about in the previous slides, like getting connected, building community, RAs, campus, the experience of living on campus. Residence education at ucmerced.edu can be a great resource for that. And with that, I'm going to transition. So we've talked about the kinds of community and the support that we provide to students. I'm going to talk about now the mechanics of how you can secure that service for yourself. And that's through our housing services office. So we're kind of two sides of the same coin in terms of offering your total residential experience. The Res Ed team provides the campus experience, and housing services helps get you contracted and placed into housing. So we're going to highlight a couple things here. Our 2-year guarantee for incoming first-year students, you're guaranteed housing for your first 2 years as long as you meet the application priority dates. And for incoming, if you're a new transfer, you get 1 year of guaranteed housing on campus as well with that as a new transfer student. We're going to go through the application process. We're going to talk about contracts and rates. And then lastly, we'll talk about housing accommodations, which is ADA accommodation. Physical areas of campus living require that we leave some things at home. They're just not best suited. So the first, no pets. Only you can have a fish in a 10-gallon or smaller tank. That's the only permitted pet. We don't allow pets. That's not to say that's the same as an emotional support animal, but no pets allowed, no weapons, no kitchen appliances. This is a big one. We don't allow any air fryers or toaster ovens. The room is allowed 1 microwave, and then that's really about it. You can have a single serve coffee maker. Obviously, you want to leave anything that's flammable, as well as any illegal drugs, candles, space heaters. Basically, this is an environment where you're sharing space with other folks. And so you want to make sure that you don't have things that increase the risk of starting a fire, or that can cause tensions or challenges between roommates. So also, we don't want to bring any Wi-Fi extenders, routers, or switches or anything like that. These things interfere with the wireless signal, particularly on South Campus, which has very good, because it's modern construction, has very good high-speed wireless internet. But if people start bringing their own routers, those radio signals jam those up. So they're banned from our network. Things you should bring: all our beds are twin extra long. Now I'm 6 feet 5 inches tall and I fit easily on a twin extra long bed. So most of you, this is not going to be a challenge. You will need to bring your own bedding, and they do sell bedding in the twin extra long format. Now that I've told you, you might start seeing it everywhere when you go to Walmart or Target or any other store. You can find it online. Many other vendors sell it. You'll need to bring your own bathroom supplies. So you're going to have to be responsible for all your own hygiene. And for many of you, you'll be using common area showers. So you'll have to carry things down. So we recommend like shower caddies, things to help you with the transition from your room to the restroom area. You might want to you make sure you if you bring all your fancy gadgets, that you also bring the charging cords. Make sure you bring the cables to connect your different TV, other things that you might want to. That's always there's usually somebody gets something new, they forget an HDMI cable. So it's good, to walk through your setup before you come to campus, put it all together to make sure you have everything. And then one of the things I'll point out is that you'll also be responsible for doing your own laundry. And it's great that you're talking to us in March, because now you've got like 8 months to learn how to do your own laundry. So I'd recommend that if you don't do your own laundry, many of you probably already do. But if you're not really sure if there's something special that someone else helps you wash, now's the time to start learning how to do that. We do recommend some other things, generally emergency supplies like first aid kit for yourself, band-aids, basic things, flashlights. If you want to bring a desk lamp so you can have some light over your desk. There's lots of uses for padlocks, whether you use combos or keys. The dressers in your room, you'll get 4 drawers and 2 of them have a hasp that you can lock. Many of our bathrooms also have temporary lockers where you can put things and secure them in a locker, like your phone, while you're in the shower. So padlocks are pretty versatile and they really help on campus for that. Each room is allowed one 900-watt or less microwave. And depending on the room, if there are 3 or more beds in the room, you're allowed 2 small refrigerators. These are 4.2 cubic feet or less. If there's 2 or fewer beds, then you're allowed 1 in the bedroom. We have all this information on our website. We'll talk more about that, and we'll be messaging you information as you sign contracts and get set up. Just know that microwaves and appliances are to be shared by the room. They're not things that you need to buy individually. We recommend, so for those of you that have accepted admission already, you should be able to visit the housing portal now and access the housing application. Some of you have already started turning in applications, and congratulations. You'll be among our earliest priority students. We process applications every day of the week. Most of the offers are actually automatic. So if you submit your application, it's a 2-step process. You have to tell us you want housing. So you submit the application on the housing portal. If you just wait a few minutes, you're going to get the offer, because we are auto offering to first years because you are guaranteed housing. So just hang out there and wait for the email to come through, and then you will be able to go right back into the housing portal, refresh that page, and begin signing the contract. You need to have, for first year students, you need to have turned in the application by midnight on May 6th, and you just sign that contract no later than midnight on May 7th. So it's well after the May 1st SIR deadline. And that priority date means that you'll be able to participate in room selection for first year students, and all kinds of other bonuses. For transfer students, your dates are set back by about a month. So you need to apply by midnight on June 8th and sign the contract by midnight on June 9th. So initially, you're going to turn in your application, and then you're going to sign that contract. In that signing process, that's when you're going to be offered the opportunity to join an LLC. The housing portal is where, if you change your mind about the LLC, you can also go back into that and update your preferences, either adding or removing your LLC priority. Roommate selection is available in once you've signed your contract in the portal. And then online room selection for first year students is June 22nd through July 6th. So that's when you're going to pick your own room if you sign. Now, you don't have to, we can always assign you into a room. But if you're an LLC, you're going to be given priority to go in and pick rooms in the LLCs to form roommate groups with LLC members. And you'll also, and then if you don't want to do any of those things, you just housing will place you into a room and we'll make sure that you have a room assignment by mid-July. Move in takes place for fall 2026 between August 19th and August 22nd. So there are some early arrival groups. So if you're in athletics, summer bridge, or maybe some LLCs, there might be arrivals for your programs that are specifically earlier than August 19th. And the programs will communicate that to you. So make sure you're paying attention to communication from the program. For all other first year and new transfer students, we recommend that you move into campus. We're actually starting move in a day earlier this year because we need first years to be in housing by Saturday, August 22nd, so that you can be ready for orientation on Sunday, August 23rd. There is no orientation in July this year. It is all one big orientation. The last thing I'm going to talk about is ADA accommodations. So if you need special accommodations for housing due to ADA needs, you'll need to submit those to the Student Accessibility Service Office by June 1st for priority. Now you can turn them in anytime, but we can't guarantee they'll be ready at move-in unless they are submitted by June 1st. Then there's information on our website about how you do that process. And just note that once you apply and sign your contract, financial aid can properly package your aid as it relates to the cost of living on campus versus the general cost of living off campus. They assume that you're living off campus until you say that you're living, until you sign a contract. So your aid award changes based on whether you live on campus. So in the similar vein, if you sign a housing contract and then decide you want to cancel later and move off campus, just know, please check with financial aid because your aid awarded may include the assumption that you're going to be living in campus housing. As part of campus housing, you're going to get access to a CAT card. This is your student ID. This is how you get in and out of all our residence halls, how you eat in our dining halls, how you use our transportation. So this is going to be an important process for you as soon as you can, to turn in your selfie through the CAT card website so that your ID can be processed and ready to give you during move-in. On that note, I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Chad, who is going to talk to you about dining and retail services.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everyone. My name is Chad Pate, and I'm the Executive Director of Resident Services here at UC Merced. So I work with Scott and some other folks to support our housing and residence education teams, as well as dining services on campus. So I'm going to talk to you about some of our options on campus where you could get some food. Next slide. Just a couple of photos for you. So here are some options that we have on our campus. Being a new campus, we're still developing new options all the time, which is very exciting. We have 2 residential dining centers. So students who choose to live on campus will be required to purchase a meal plan. And that meal plan will get you unlimited access to either the Pavilion or Yablokov Wallace Dining Center anytime they're open for any meal. You will be able to eat as much as you want when you enter the dining center. So there's no number of swipes, no number of items that you can get. When you buy a meal plan and you live on campus, you have unlimited food when the dining centers are open. The Pavilion has a focus on sort of inclusive menus. So a lot of allergen-friendly menus, varying dietary restrictions. A lot of the meat is halal. We have some kosher options as well. And the Yablokov Wallace Dining Center is focused on local and sustainable food options. So being in the Central Valley, we're at the heart of the agricultural area within California, really where a majority of produce is grown in the country. And so we have a lot of great, delicious produce farmed right here. And that's where you'll be able to get that on our campus. anytime that the Yablikoff Wallace Dining Center is open. 90% of the produce that is served in the Yablikoff Wallace Dining Center comes from 150 miles of campus or less. We also have some retail services on campus, so students who have a meal plan will also be able to purchase cat dollars along with their meal plan. If you're not living on campus, you can choose to purchase cat dollars as well voluntarily. You can use those cat dollars at any of our retail locations, including our food trucks, the Lantern Cafe, which serves Pete's Coffee, the Bobcat Snack Stop, which is a convenience store, the Summits Marketplace, which is a convenience store slash small retail location, and the Bobcat Kitchen, which is our own locally made, fresh made, affordable food truck on campus. So they accept cat dollars. If you don't have cat dollars or you run out, you can also use a credit or debit card. Please note that none of our locations accept cash at this time. Next slide. So a little bit more about the Pavilion Center. If you were to visit campus, this is the building that's right in the middle of campus, right next to the lake. It is a large, new state-of-the-art dining center. Again, it's all you care to eat. It's open 7 days a week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And there is a variety of menu options available with 5 different stations. So if you come into the pavilion, you're going to have multiple options to choose from. You'll be able to view the menu every day online, or you can go to the pavilion and they'll be printed out front. There are 4 platforms, meaning 4 different options, as well as a salad bar in the center. Similarly, the Yablikoff Wallace Dining Center has multiple platforms, 5 different platforms that you can choose from. For each platform will be a different menu item that you can grab, and you can grab as much or as little as you want. The Yablikoff Wallace Dining Center will be open Monday through Friday for lunch, dinner, and late night. Between the pavilion and the Yablikoff Wallace Dining Center, Monday through Friday, we're open from 7 a.m. to midnight. So you have lots and lots of options on campus. On weekends, the pavilion's open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So you'll always, always, always have access to food when you're living on campus. All right, if you ever have questions specific to dining services, accessibility of food options, if you have specific menu requests, or you just want to learn a little bit more about what we do, please email dining@ucmerced.edu. You can also visit our website. The QR code should get you there. I do want to give a plug. Dining Services is one of the largest employers of students on our campus. We have about 500 student employees working for us at any given time. You can find jobs year-round at any of our dining locations or retail locations through the Handshake app, which is located on the UC Merced website where our student employee jobs are located. You can apply for them before you come to UC Merced or after you get to UC Merced. So we look forward to seeing you in the dining centers. And I will pass it over to my colleague Rosalva to talk about parking and transportation services.
Good evening. My name is Rosalva and I work for TAPS. On campus, overnight parking. First-year students and residents do have to apply. The application will open up on Monday, April 6th, and it'll be available on our website, taps.ucmerced.edu. We do offer 2 permit rates. A semester cost is $200 and the annual rate is $400. And right now, because of construction going on, we don't know exactly where the parking for residents will be, but we're hoping to be able to accommodate everyone. Commuter students, the same thing. We offer a semester and an annual permit, and those permits are available through our parking portal. Freshman commuters, again, do have to apply. We also offer hourly and daily parking. We have kiosks in the parking lots, and we also do pay by text. Cat tracks. You do need your cat card, like Scott said, to board the bus. This is included in your tuition. We do provide service to Amtrak. We have a mall. We go to the grocery stores downtown, banks. It does run on weekdays and weekends. We also have a partnership with the city bus, and you also just need your cat card to board. We also have an airport here in Merced. It goes to Las Vegas and Los Angeles, And then we also offer Amtrak, and Catrax does provide the service to Amtrak. They do offer student discounts on tickets, the one-time tickets, or if you buy 6 pass tickets. We also have 5 zip cars on our campus, and they are highly used. You do have to become a member, and then the rates do include your fuel and your insurance. And then we are also always hiring. We provide support for events. We also do maintenance on the campus grounds parking lot. And then any information you can find on our website. Thank you.
We have some questions out here that students are asking. One of the questions is asking for transfer students, what is the process if you want to continue living on campus for another year? Is it possible for us to stay in the same room for sequential years?
It may not be possible to stay in the same room, but it is definitely possible to stay on campus. So depending on where you're assigned your first year, you may be, like we do hold some for our transfer living and learning program. And like if you get assigned that building, you may need to move your next year, but other locations are available and many many transfer students have stayed on. Right now, we've been able to offer housing to pretty much any student that wants it by July and August. So and that includes returning transfer students. So again, it's a good time to be at UC Merced. We have good housing options. We have new housing options, and we generally have been able to offer continuous housing to even our juniors and seniors.
Awesome. Here's another question from Taylor. If you apply for honors LLC, are you able to go back and apply for any others, like modify your prior application?
Yes, you can. So if you apply for honors, so there's the honors program, which is run by the university and is academic in nature. And there's the honors LLC, which is a subdivision of that is folks living together in El Portal, third floor. So that program is separate, and you can, in your housing application, you'll have the option to choose up to 2 LLCs. If you either know or think you're going to apply for honors, you can put that as your number one priority if you want to live in the honors LLC. Or if you want to participate in the honors program but choose a different LLC, you can do that as well. I would talk to the honors program about any specifics they may have. They will still have requirements for you, but you can go back into your housing application anytime before May 7th and make adjustments to your LLC preferences. You can choose which one is your first or second priority. Just know, like, they're going to start reaching out, like probably in April with, offers to students because they're going to want folks to know. So it's first come, first serve. So try to settle early.
Awesome. So here's a good question that student asking, Saulo Navarro. He's asking, are there shared designated kitchens that allow the use of appliances not allowed in the dorms, such as air fryers or rice cookers?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have some designated kitchens, community kitchens that those things are permitted in. The appliance itself is not permitted in your room, so you'd have to keep them in that area. So it's some students like that, some students don't, because you can't really lock anything up down there. It's kind of an honor system for that. So you might have people using your air fryer. But there are those community kitchens feature ovens, stoves, microwave, refrigerator, full sink. So, they're really more designed around if you want to make a special meal or a birthday cake. They're not really designed to support regular sustained cooking. That's why we have the dining options that we have, because the facilities, the residence halls aren't really designed for protracted cooking. So for example, in South Campus, which is Glacier, Granite, El Portal, and Sentinel Rock, which is where most first year students are living, there is one community kitchen shared by those 4 buildings. So, and usually it's more than enough for the occasional special event use. I want to make some cupcakes, or I want to bake up some brownies. I got a sweet tooth. And we even sell those things in our Summits Marketplace if you want to go grab something. But you'll need to have your own cookware, and then any appliances you might want to use that are special would have to be kept in the kitchen.
Here's a question. What would be more cheaper, to buy from the taco trucks or to go to the dining hall?
Well, it depends on how much you want to buy from the trucks. You got to keep in mind that our dining centers are unlimited. So when you pay to go into the dining center, you get unlimited food. You can have as much or as little as you want. When you go to a food truck, you're only getting a specific item when you buy it. So it'll probably be cheaper per item to go to the dining center. But if you're not going to eat that much, then maybe it's cheaper to go to the food trucks.
That's good. Uh, what is considered an extreme circumstances for parking for freshmen?
An extreme can be your caregiver. Your caregiver, you live outside of our cat tracks area. Those can be considered extreme.
All right. For campus jobs, can international students apply?
Students have to meet the federal requirements to work on campus, so I will leave it at that. Some international students do get Social Security cards to be able to work through an F1 visa, but not all students are eligible for that.
Are the housing dorms mixed, boys and girls, also on-campus parking required to buy?
Yeah, so sounds like there's two parts to that question.
Yeah.
So the first part about housing, all our buildings are mixed gender. So and most of the rooms, like the bedrooms and the suites, so the spaces that people are sharing and using the bathrooms in, like the living spaces are generally are mostly single gender, right? So it'd be all one gender with the same gender. We do offer some housing that is not gender based. So, there are some students that want to live with students of differing genders. And so they can apply to be a part of that gender inclusive housing. We do have a limited number of those spaces. So you can live with any gender that you might choose to, and everybody, and only people that agree to be in that program can be assigned those areas. But most of our housing, the vast majority, is single gender for the living areas. But your neighbors might be different gender.
So that will give also if you had like a twins, a brother and sister, they could live together. Is that correct?
They could, yeah, and we've had that happen before. We've had
Okay.
siblings share a room before. It's one of those things that if you let housing know, we can kind of specifically make us a special space for you to do that.
Okay. So the second part question of what Scott answered was if you live on campus, are you required to pay for parking?
No, you are not required. You pay into cat tracks. It's part of your tuition. And cat tracks pretty much can take you anywhere you need to go into town.
Okay. Do the kitchens have refrigerators for those students that want to cook?
Yeah, the kitchens do have a refrigerator, but again, nothing is secured. So it's mostly designed to hold ingredients while you might be making whatever you're making. And you can leave things there, but again, you can label it, put a date on it, and periodically our staff will clear those out. So it's not really designed for long term, like if you're going to be making one meal in there every single day, and long-term storage of groceries. But we do provide some if you want to keep things like maybe if you're staying over a break period or you want to buy some special food for a weekend and keep it in there, you can. We do provide full-size refrigerators, ovens, stovetop, and microwaves and sinks in those areas.
Okay, here's a good one. Um, can you tell us on off-campus housing, how far from the campus? What does this mean to travel to and from home to classes?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that. So I think the nearest housing is about 2.5 miles from campus. And that would, and so that's that's student focused housing, but it's also the closest housing. So it takes, most students are looking anywhere between 25 and 30 minutes to commute. And you can do it by bike sometimes. If you're in that same area, you can get up Lake Drive and ride your bike in. But that's generally what it'll mean for your commute, is you're going to be adding probably about at least an hour every time you want to go to and from home, at least. So some of the other areas can be a little bit farther. The cat tracks, I will say, can knock some time off that, depending on where you're at on the route. The cat tracks is very efficient in that way, and it's kind of designed around places where students live, and so that option um, is available too. So I mean, I think like you can get around, but just the nature of where campus is, it's already kind of default 2.5 miles away from the nearest location. So it's what in part makes campus housing very attractive because you're not building in any commute time. But you can get to any class in less than 15 minutes from any residence hall, probably from any floor of any residence hall, taking the elevator down from the sixth floor of Hafto. So I mean our campus is very pedestrian friendly and the dorms are situated close to the housing, to the classes in a way that, the off-campus housing just can't replicate.
I see. Here's a question that kind of find it amusing, but it's I think I want to ask: are the housings made of wood or concrete? Will I hear my
Oh,
neighbor upstairs
yeah.
walking around at night?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, as the architect in the group. So, a lot of our housing is concrete steel construction. Some of it, and we have some that's wood frame. Some of our first housing one was wood frame, and others are bigger steel, concrete. But they all are designed for noise attenuation, and they're all designed for high density living. So the companies that build these, the contractors that build these, when they build these, specifically part of the criteria is how well they attenuate noise, because we know we're going to have six people living above six people. So those standards are built into our architectural standards for noise deadening. Is
Okay.
it perfectly silent? No. Someone dribbling a basketball up there, you might have to go introduce yourself and ask them not to, but let them know you're down there. But for the most part, like you can't hear general conversations or TV shows, that kind of stuff.
Okay. How do I notify dining of my food allergies?
That is a great question. So the first step would be to connect with Student Accessibility Services, which is our Student Disability Services office on campus. Bring any medical documentation that you have related to your allergy and the severity of that allergy with you to a meeting. They will then set up an appointment with one of our culinary wellness team members. So we have a manager who supports culinary wellness and allergen inclusion, as well as a dietitian on campus who will be able to sit down and advise you on options available to you in the dining center. Keep in mind that all top 9 and big 15 allergens are listed on our menu cards. So when you walk up to an item, there's a card that indicates what it is and what it has in it. So if you know you have allergies that aren't life-threatening, you don't have to go through that process. You'll be able to see what each item has. Keep in mind that some cross-contact can occur on rare occasions.
Awesome. Question for Taps. Are there parking options in town if parking is not available for freshmen on campus or improved?
As of right now, the city does have a parking area. It's off of Bellevue and then, but we really don't have an agreement with them at this time for overnight parking.
All right. I have curly hair, so will I be able to bring a diffuser or blow dryer?
Yes, you can. And you can use those in the bathroom, in your room. We have many students who also have curly hair. They use both those products. So,
Okay.
and don't forget a couple extra bonnets. So,
Oh, yeah. So here's a good one. Here's a good question. Uh, with students that commute on bikes or e-bikes, do they need to pay for bike parking at campus,
No, they do not have to pay for parking, but you can register them.
which is highly recommended, right? So that you
Yes,
track.
that is
Yeah.
correct.
Are there apartments nearby the campus? Can I check out instead of the dorms?
yes. And I would recommend if you want to look at, I mean, again, nearby is 2.5 miles minimum. So you're welcome to look at, there's a website that we maintain, housing maintains it's called och.ucmerced.edu. Off-campus housing, och.ucmerced.edu. It's a partnership with apartments.com and local folks with local landlords, local management companies. They post a lot of their student and faculty staff focused housing options in those locations on that site. So it can be a great resource. We just hosted an off-campus housing fair today, where a lot of those um, uh, properties were there and reaching out to students about housing. So yeah, you can och.ucmerced.edu.
Okay. Can on-campus housing preference be extended for students with special needs?
Um, I'm not sure about preference, but generally speaking, as you know, if you need to get, um, like if you're asking about getting access to housing, I mean, as long as you have the contract turned in and signed, then you'll have access to housing. And let's say you sign your contract, and then while you're going through the interactive process with student accessibility services, let's say there's a need that we just can't meet, right? Then housing will waive any cancellation, give you the option to get out of that contract if you just find it's not going to meet, if your accommodations aren't able to be met. I would, if it's a matter of like room type or other things, that'll be largely determined by the accommodation itself. So whether there's a double room or triple room or a specific roommate, whatever it is that your accommodation needs, as long as you've begun that process early, and you don't have to necessarily have your contract completed to begin that accommodation process with student accessibility services. You can begin that today if you're an admitted student, and then you can do it parallel with your housing process. So at the same time as your housing contract process, you can get those things in place. But if you have, so I would recommend, like, I'm not sure what the questioner meant by preference, but largely all those preferences can be met as long as both the contract signing and the interactive process with student accessibility services to help determine accommodations is complete by June 1st.
Okay. This question is for transfer students. What is the process if you want to continue living on campus for another year? Is it possible
Yeah.
for us to stay in the same room for sequential? I think that was answered already.
Mhm.
You were given a room, but not necessarily the same room. I think that's what
Yep.
you answered earlier.
That was it.
Is there housing for adult learners?
So there is, I mean, all our housing is available to students of any age. We've had students over 50 in our residence halls before. Housing generally kind of keeps an eye on students that are over the age of 25, and we generally will try to match adults with adults of similar age, if we can. But you would be using similar facilities like everyone else. So you might have a double room that you share with another adult learner, and that would use a common bathroom that's shared by all. We don't. We One of the things that's challenging is we don't offer family housing. So it's the adult learner can be housed, but no family members or partners or spouses.
Okay. Okay. Here's the one for another for housing. If we've been accepted and are receiving a scholarship from UC Merced, can a $250 fee be paid with the scholarship?
Well, the typically scholarships kind of, I mean, you have to, the specific scholarship has usually its own requirements. So I'm just going to do the typical bureaucrat thing and say, read your own rule, read the guidelines for your aid, particularly scholarships that might come from third parties or originate outside of UC Merced. But typically at UC Merced, all of your charges are going to put onto your account, and then all of your aid and scholarships apply to those charges. So anything that you're charged by UC Merced, typically your scholarships, once they're dispersed, can be applied to those costs. Housing does not have a application fee. It costs you nothing to apply, and you can actually cancel for free as long as you cancel before the cancellation deadline date. So we try to make it very easy and low risk for you to get those housing contracts in early, so that you can, really do some comparison between us and other options you might have. We feel very confident about UC Merced housing. So apply early, sign early, and just make sure you keep an eye on your dates if you change your mind.
Those are some really good questions a lot of students are asking tonight. One of the questions that there is being asked is how safe is it to live off campus?
Well, I would say safety is always dependent on the person, right? So, in general, it is very safe. I'm going to kind of lead with that, right? So, like most, I mean, Merced's not a very large town. It's also like, particularly where most students live, oftentimes you're living around other students. Say, for example, name a couple big apartment complexes like Merced Station, the Northwood Village, the Terraces. Most of the folks living there are students. Many of them are. So there are a lot of students in these communities. So your neighbors might be students. The Bellevue community also has a lot of, which is housing, like single family housing, a lot of faculty, students, staff as well. I would recommend that you check. There are some interactive crime maps if you want to see the kinds of crimes, where those crimes occur. The Merced Police Department, Merced Sheriffs, they all maintain their own. If you want to see those, if you want to see actual campus crime statistics, the UC Merced Public Safety Department publishes the Cleary Campus Crime Report, and you're welcome to browse those. I mean, campus is very safe. Off campus, I know that was the questioner's focus area. Off campus is also generally pretty safe, but you would need to get those statistics from uh, the local police if you want to really dive into the kinds of things that are there. I think a lot of the risk that our students face isn't really so much from crime as it is from like transportation and getting around. Remember, you might now it's March, so you might still remember that it gets dark early. So if you're trying to ride your bike in down these roads at night, or area can be like kind of bike accidents or other things like that. So it's where a lot of our where a lot of injuries come from. But crime itself, if there's something you're looking at particular, I'd recommend looking at community crime reports through Merced Police.
Awesome. Here's a good question that I think a lot of students have in their mind. How do you pair students to become roommates if they don't know each other?
Oh, yeah, such a great question. So when you fill out your housing application, we have some profile criteria that you'll complete. Things like, generally I like to wake up early, late, and I'll give some time frames. It asks some other questions that have come up, and this is where our residence education teams work with our housing team to help us identify because they see the roommate conflicts, right, when they're talking. So one of the questions we added was, something about gaming, right? Like you game a lot, you game a little, right? Because we found that, if you had a roommate who was gaming every minute they weren't in class or doing homework, then sometimes that stressed the room if you had people that wanted to use the room like to talk or hang out or do other things, right? Watch movies. So that became a question. When you fill out your housing application, the number one thing, and if there are parents on this call, which I know there are, right? So let your student fill those out as they are and not as they aspire to be, right? So, that's the advice I give you, student. If
Oh
you are
yeah.
not now an early riser, do not assume that when you come to college, you're going to magically become, an 8 a.m. Wake with the sun, entrepreneurial focused, ambitious person. You might start that way, but you will find that habits take time, and then you can adjust those. Each time you apply for housing, you get a chance to fill those out again. So just fill them out as you are at that time. If you're not a morning person, don't pretend to be. Parents, don't fill things out for them. Don't be aspirational. Let the students fill those out, and then we use those values. When we do automatic assignments, we try to pair students up on some of those critical values that we know. And I think the last time we do elective room change twice a year, which is where students get to change their own room. But in about, I think it was between 5 and 8% of our students participated in that, which, 90% of our students are still living with the student they moved in with. So we feel pretty confident about that tool.
This is a good question. I'm a 16-year-old. Does all the rules apply to me or my rules are different?
Great question. Housing, in order for campus housing, you've got to be 17 in your first semester. So let's say you're applying for housing starting this fall, you would have to turn 17 sometime between August and December. So we don't offer housing to folks who are 16 years of age, like unless you're turning 17 that same first year. But yes, all the same rules apply to you. The only things that would be different if you're a minor student is that there may be cases where we have to contact parents if there are violations of, say, drug or alcohol policies in ways that we don't necessarily do for students who are above the age of 18.
Awesome. There are a lot of questions, and I know that
Mhm.
students want to have their questions answered. We're trying to get to them as best as possible. And I think a lot of them you've answered in regards to living off and off campus, in regards to the safety of the campus. And can you speak on behalf of the safety of the campus? And what will be the requirements for somebody who wants to become a resident advisor?
Yeah. Okay. So first, we'll talk about safety of campus. Some of the things that I've talked about Merced's location, UC Merced's location, are what contribute to it being a very safe campus. A lot of our students, when they live on campus, there's a very definite feeling of being home and being on campus. And UC Merced is still small enough that you your neighbors, them getting to know you, helps people know who is there, who belongs, who, what their normal routines are. Um, our campus crime reports have been very good. I would encourage, parents and families and students to go look those up, and take a look. We have very little reported crime, particularly like, violent crimes or the things like that. We just, not a lot of those things that occur on campus, because we're not, we're a big residential program. We have over 4,000 people, which is like a small city, but it's also like very focused in terms of students, and there's not a lot of interface with the Merced community as a whole. So campus itself is very safe, and on top of just the community, we also have other things. So you can download apps to your phone from our police that are it's called a portable blue phone, where it's like an emergency button that you can tap to walk. There's campus safety escorts. So not only is the campus kind of measurably safe, but our campus safety partners provide different resources to help students feel safe while they're transitioning into that community. So if you are walking late from say you could take one of these jobs at the dining hall and you're working the late shift at YWDC for late night, if you want to get a campus escort to walk you back from the YWDC to El Portal, you can arrange that. There's services for that, and they'll send someone out to escort you back and have someone walk with you. So even if you don't necessarily know anyone, or you're kind of slow or shy to get to know people, there's still safety things available to you. We also have our own uniformed and licensed police department. So that's another thing. So it's not just kind of campus safety. We actually have, fully trained law enforcement officers. And UC Merced is a local destination for these folks. A lot of them have been trained and have many years of service in the community. And so when they come here, they're specifically trying to work at UC Merced. And it's not like, it's a bunch of rookies. It's a lot of very talented law enforcement personnel. So that's a little about safety on campus. If you want to be part of the team that builds community, the RAs, which I definitely recommend, it's a great experience if it's something you decide you want to pursue. We typically start that recruitment process. We do it once a year, and that recruitment process takes place in December, January, mostly in January. So you want to there'll be a time to get your application in, and then you will go through. There were about over 300 applicants we have 79 RAs. So it's a big process, but I wouldn't let the numbers dissuade you. What I would recommend is, if you want to be an RA, come to campus and spend time with your RA, right? So because everybody has one, and you'll have an opportunity to see what they do, get to know what they do, attend the events they put on. And as you get to build that relationship, you'll have an idea of what's entailed in that role. And that's probably the best way to learn that, and to stay up to date with, current offerings in that role.
Is it possible for a transfer student to become an RA?
It is possible for transfer students that you can, if you come in, if you have to have lived on campus. And so you'll have to check the requirements when it's posted, but we have had transfer students become RAs in the past. Typically, they start as a new transfer student, and then they apply to be an RA while they're living on campus at UC Merced, and then become an RA in their second semester, right? In their second year. So when they come back as a junior or a continuing student, they become an RA then. But I believe it is possible. The application process is closed now for RAs. They're already in interviews now. So it wouldn't be possible, say, if you were living on campus at another university now, to apply and be one for the coming year. But when you get here, you can apply to be an RA next year.
Awesome. Well, we're coming down to the end of our webinar tonight. I hope that a lot of you got some really good information. I want to leave the students with thinking about your options in regards to the University of California. Merced is a great choice for a lot of you. Think about the opportunities that are offered on our campus, and think about the possibilities. Don't forget that on April the 18th, we do have an open house. This is when all of you are invited to come and check out our dormitories, check out our facilities there on campus. We invite you to come and enjoy the day with us. But are there any last words from any of the panel that want to just say something in regards before we sign off?
Well, I know I've been talking a lot, so I'll be quick, but I do want to let this group know that we've been talking a lot about our residence halls. And if you go to our website, you will find on our housing.ucmerced.edu, the first drop-down menu has something called housing options, and we actually have 3D tours of um, all our residents, all buildings. So you can tour around some of the facilities that we've talked about today. You can actually walk through them and see what it looks like, and you can see like the Summits Marketplace. I'm gonna actually drop that into the chat. So if you click that link there, you can do, and those rooms are kind of, most of them are actually, they're displayed empty. So you can kind of see what it looks like when you would move in. We do have a couple that are set up and kind of fully outfitted, so you can see those too. But I'd recommend take a look around. I mean, we're very proud of our inventory. Again, it's some of the newest inventory. So take a look.
Okay. Chad or Rosalba?
We just hope to see you on campus and really welcome to the Bobcat family.
Once again, I want to thank every single one of you who participated tonight. Thank you to our panel for the great information. Once again, I do encourage you to come and visit us. We also have Experience UC Merced for a lot of you. This will give you an opportunity to go to class and actually talk to the students and see what life would be like on campus. But we do encourage you for you to be as involved with the process of being admitted. Please constantly check your emails, constantly check your platform, because there's a lot of information that we give you, especially for the coming freshman or the first year class. And as soon as you start rolling all that information in, things will be running smoothly, and hopefully you start here in the fall with us here and become part of the Bobcat family. I want to thank you very much, and we wish you a good night, and we hope to see you in the next webinar. Thanks to the panel. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you to my colleague who's helping in answering the questions. I know we couldn't get to a lot of these questions, but I hope that this was more good information that you could take back home or understand what UC Merced actually offers. Thank you very much, and have a good night, everyone.